Okay, this is the 5,000 mile review of the CRF300L. And I must say, I love it every bit as much as the day I bought it. More actually, since I have it set up to my liking now. It was really good right off the showroom floor. Amazing, just the way it came. But I swapped out the tires with some Pirelli MT21 dual sport knobbies, K-Tech suspension front and rear, skid plate, and Renthal handlebars, and these Zeta handguards, which are really nice to keep branches from slapping your levers, pulling your front brake on, and so forth. That's your cockpit. It's nice to have it just how you want it. These bars are a little bit taller than the stock ones were, a little straighter and much stronger. The stock handlebars have inserts. They're threaded and they're weights to keep the vibration down, but you don't need those. And when you install these handguards, there's a bolt that goes in there, so you're adding weight anyway to keep the vibration down. I don't notice that to be any vibration in the handlebars. But it's easier just to swap the bars out than to try to drill that piece out that's in there, or use the existing. There's a threaded hole, but it's too small. You'd have to put a tiny bolt in here and it wouldn't fit right. Or you could tap and re-thread it, but then the stock bars are really, I don't really like them that much. They're kind of swept back and they're low. More kind of a street oriented. But it is a dual sport, so they kind of made it kind of half moto and half street. But I like the motocross bars. These are the Ricky Carmichael bend. Really nice, same width. An inch taller, approximately, and a little straighter. I can't believe this chain. DID O-ring chain. No master link on it. So it just stays nice and consistently tight. I had to tighten it, I think once or twice when I first got the bike, when I was breaking it in, and now it just stays right where it's supposed to be. I'm always just amazed every time I check it. It never stretches out. I clean it with the Maxima cleaner once in a while, and I use Maxima, that wax chain lube. I really like that. Between rides, I usually just wipe it down with the rag and check it and put a little chain lube on there. It's working out great. I love it. This bike is an absolute joy to ride. The gearbox is just perfect. The gearing. First gear is nice and low. It's a close ratio gearbox 1 through 5, and then 6th gear is an overdrive. This bike will go 75 miles an hour, no problem. So when you get on a highway that's like 50 miles an hour, you can go along it, 50 and maybe a little faster, like everyone does. And just purring along. Actually, I can't go under 50 in top gear. I just feels like I'm lugging it. So oftentimes on the highway, I'll actually just use 5th, even when I'm going, up to 55 or so. You can run 5th gear. If you really want to get going, you can shift it into 6th. Like I say, I've had it up to 75 and it's not even revving. At 75, it's only about 8 grand and it goes to 10.5. Wind resistance is what keeps it from going faster. If you could get on a downhill all tucked down, I could probably get this thing going over 80 miles an hour. No problem. Oil change intervals. First one at 600 miles, then every 8,000 miles is what it says in the manual. But I change it about every 2,000 miles. It's easy to do. You can see through the little window that it's getting dirty by then. And when you change it, it shifts a little nicer. So you can tell that oil was breaking down. It's nice to know it could go that far and that they have that much confidence in this bike. That's like never changing it. I've had bikes where I only put about 8,000 miles on them before I sold them. Fuel injected, water cooled. I like the way the radiator's unpainted. That racy look. Like those handmade radiators are on race bikes. I was afraid I might need a larger fuel tank, but I can easily go 120 miles without worrying about running out of fuel, which is about as far as I ever want to go. A long ride for me is usually about 80 miles. But sometimes I might go up to 120 and it'll do it. I've gone up to 137 miles and still didn't run out of gas. Excellent brakes. And about the easiest clutch pull you'll ever see in your life with the slipper clutch. Slipper assist clutch. I do it with my pinky. I believe they put that clutch on there, or I mean that clutch on there to make the clutch pull really light, because I never feel it slipping. That's a good thing, because I wouldn't want it to. I use compression braking a lot off-road riding. It's nice to know. You could downshift to skid the back tire if you want to slow down. It's not going to slip. If it slipped, it would have to slip really easy, seems to me. If you're diving into a corner, even on the street, downshifting really fast, it gets so light in the back. And I'm running knobbies too. If it was going to slip instead of skid, it would have to really slip easily. And it doesn't slip. I don't feel it slipping ever. It's designed to slip though. I imagine if I put a 300-pound guy on the back with me going down a steep hill on a paved road and I downshifted really fast, let out the clutch, it would probably slip. Because it is designed to do that. But the reason they did it is to make the clutch pull really light. Because it also grabs when you're accelerating. It's supposed to slip under compression braking and grab under acceleration. And I can feel it grabbing under acceleration because I can feel it in the hand lever sometimes if I don't let it out fast enough. I'm getting on the gas, shifting gears. As I let it out, I feel it kind of pulling forward in my hand as it's grabbing. Really neat. You don't have to worry about the clutch slipping on this bike. Biggest improvement I've made has to be the shock. It just didn't have enough rebound dampening. So a lot of movement in the rear end, which really became annoying after a while. Kind of fun at first, kind of bouncy up and down. Kind of like a little kiddie ride or something. The kid in me liked it. But after a while, it became kind of unnerving. Going down the road, just woo, up and down, you know. Now it won't do that. It's firmer with stiffer rebound. It feels like a bike should. And once it broke in, I swear even the stiffer fork spring I put in there broke in and kind of got a little bit softer feeling. So the forks feel really responsive and plush, yet firmer. They won't bottom out hard. This bump over here, I was wheeling off this bump over here and landing in like in a G out, and the forks would bottom really hard when they were with the stock springs. I'm like, wow, I better not do that anymore. And I just tried it now, and it's like they don't even bottom out, yet they're still really plush. You can go over jumps now, won't bottom out. The shocks has a stiffer spring. Whole bike sits higher all the time, which is really nice, making the bike feel more stable and solid. Because when the bike squats down, it messes up the geometry of it. Like if the back was squatting too low, makes it like a chopper. And when the front squats down, it kind of shortens the wheelbase of the bike and steepens the rake. They designed this bike after race bikes, and it's designed to handle really well. And when it's set up with the right suspension, it does. This bike handles better than any bike I've ever had. It's neutral steering. You can feel it on the street, around corners. It's just a dream. It's like it's on rails. You're not fighting the handlebars. You just kind of a nice motion just going around the corner, just effortlessly. It's like all you have to do is think about turning the corner and it does it. You're not fighting anything. And that's nice, because if you're fighting it and you feel yourself counter steering a bike and having to put force to go around the corner, if you hit a slick spot, it's going to amplify that and it's going to slide out more. But if you're not doing anything to the bars, you don't feel yourself putting any pressure on them. If you hit a slick spot, the bike's going to keep tracking straight. Really nice to have it set up right. Really important. So far, I've only dropped this bike over once. It was a real dumb mistake. Slid on some grass. I should have known better. I thought the grass was dead, but it was pretty green at close inspection. So I was trying to do a brake slide across this grass, little patch of grass. I thought it was all dead grass. But it was pretty green because I was really high up on a mountain. I didn't realize the moisture. Like I said, at close inspection, the grass wasn't really all that dead. And the bike just slid. And I've got my leg out like this. And the bike slides. And I'm trying to hold the bike up. And my leg just went farther than I thought, sideways. And I've had my leg like this. Went way out. And I'm trying to hold it up, and it just starts falling over, and I realized there's no way I could hold it up. I actually pulled my hamstring trying as hard as I could to hold it with my leg out like that. There's no way. So I thought, well, I'll just kind of set it over, and I'm kind of setting it down, and I'm like, I made sure I hit the ground first because I wasn't even moving. And I just kind of slowly lowered the bike down, and I'm looking at the side, and I'm going, don't hit this part here. Go, don't hit. And it was really close to the ground, but it didn't hit. And the amazing thing was, since this bike, the way it's set up, no gas dripped out. Every bike I've ever had, as soon as you tip it over, you pick it up, there's gas dripping out of the overflows on the carb, out of the overflow on the tank. This tank is sealed. It vents into this charcoal filter. And it's fuel injected, so no gas dripped out. But I heard that these can fill up with gas when you drop it over. So I didn't want to leave it over long, so as quick as I could, I picked it up. And then I realized how heavy this bike really is. It holds its weight so well when you're riding it, you don't realize it, but when you try to pick it up, it's like, man, this thing was pretty heavy. I had to grab the very end of the bar, use my legs to lift the thing up. I thought I could just grab the bars and pick it up like a dirt bike, but like, wow, I couldn't that easily, so I just grabbed with both hands, used my legs, picked it up quickly before that filled up. And it just started right up, just like normal. Not a problem. I really don't like to dump my bikes over and scratch them all up. Every used bike I bought has been already dumped and all scratched, which is kind of a bummer. If I did on this one, I just replaced the parts if it bugged me too much. Things like that, they happen. They can happen. I love to talk about bikes when I'm out on a ride. I could talk about bikes when I'm sitting at home, but I'm not all amped up on it. When I'm out riding it, I'm all amped up, I'm all excited, and I can really explain what I'm thinking and feeling about it. I think everybody can understand that.